Oh, yeah. Awesome. Okay, thank you for coming.
And we are back. And thank you to our fantastic guest, Lisa D, who shared her story, what Evanston made, and some of the work that they do over there in platforming some very, very special artists. Like 11,000 artists in Evanston, and to think we only have about 73,000 people who live here.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is a large chunk of the population that actually identifies as being an artist.
Yes, it's beautiful. Have you been in for shows? It's really nice.
And that's, you know, as you said, if you're bored in Evanston, you must be boring. That's another thing that I need to add to my bucket list.
Yes, you do, absolutely. Yes, you do.
Yes, so our next guest is a part of Foundation 65, which works to help support some of the educators here in District 65, helps with grants to support projects that the district itself isn't able to fully fund yet. So get some of those key projects and off the ground before they even can be off the ground themselves in a normal, funding basis. So it's exciting to see a group like that really assist and platform again, because that seems to be a theme with folks who work here in Evanston, is platforming others, but platforming educators that really have a care for the students that they represent. So I am excited to introduce Alicia Wartowski from Foundation 65.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about some of that was a very brief intro by me, so tell us a little bit more about some of the work that you're doing.
Sure. I mean, I think the thing about our work is like not enough people know who we are and what we do, or they're like, we're just part of District 65. We're an independent grant-making organization. And our whole theory is like, if you want strong public education in Evanston, you need to support our teachers, because the teacher is going to be in that classroom for 30 years. We feel like we need this grassroots funding, and then we try to like get projects started sometimes to give teachers the ability. We have a lot of teachers who are like, listen, the Fed's going to do this, and then the state and this, by the end of the day, I want to spend this time with kids, and there's no time to do it. Can I do it after school? And we're finding so many of our educators are like, can I just spend extra time after school working with kids? And there is no one better that you want working with your kids than a teacher. If you need your kid to learn how to read, you want a teacher staying after school and teaching them how to read, or teach you the math, or doing all those things to enhance their school experience. So that's what we do at Foundation 65. We allow educators to feel this agency to get the work done that they feel like is necessary.
And why is it that people don't know it? That's a beautiful nonprofit. It's a beautiful organization. Why don't people know about Foundation 65?
Well, that is a great question. I'm not actually sure, other than, so we're a small organization. I'm the only full-time staff, so I wear all the hats. So some days I'm in marketing for an hour and a half, and then I'm fundraising for an hour, and then I'm posting on social media, and then I'm talking to educators, and then I'm working with the finance, and then my printer broke, right? So it's a lot of balls to juggle. But I think that what we're trying to do is make clear what we do in the hopes that like more people know. And I think we think, yeah, K-8 parents should know because this is directly impacting their kids, but also all parents and all people in Evanston should know, because if we want strong public education, everybody needs to be involved, even if you don't have a child in the school district. Maybe you're hoping your grandchild's gonna be in the school district someday. Maybe you just hope your property value stays up, and that means that we have to have strong schools. And we believe that we're helping to do that.
Back in 2021, there was a lawsuit by a former educator that was suing the district because of critical race theory, and I remember speaking on that topic and kind of framed it on this war on reality, right? That there's a set of reality that some folks believe, that educators are, corrupting their children and aren't in the best interests of the children. Whether that's in their state or the municipality. And then there's folks that recognize that teachers are an integral part of the experience of youth growing up. Is that something that concerns you, or is that a concern that you've seen that educators have, where they worry that there are parents or outside forces that see their job and what they want to produce in terms of some of the programs as being, you know, threatening to children? Is that something that worries educators here in Evanston?
I don't know if I've heard educators in Evanston saying that, right? Like, I think there are educators in other states all over the country who are like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid if I read kids this book. I think in Evanston, we're very privileged in that educators have been able to showcase all of the types of children that live in our community. And I think when we think about our community, like, it is an incredibly racially diverse community, ethnically diverse community. You know, my children went to Walker School, and I think there's something like 60 languages spoken at Walker. And so when you think about like the privilege it is that kids could gain all these perspectives, to me, something is like, well, what do you think education is for? Like, do you think it's to create an informed democracy? Do you think it is a great equalizer? Do you think it's to get your kid into Harvard? Those are different reasons, and like, I have opinions about what I think public education is for, but I think Evanston is the perfect place to raise your children. If you're like, I want my children to learn other perspectives, I want them to be empathetic, I want them to see the humanity in all people, I want them to have authentic relationships, like, Evanston is the right place, and we have teachers who are empowered to do that for our kids.
Love the answer.
Well done.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm actually a guest in Evanston, even though,
Well, welcome.
He
thank you.
plays in Evanston.
Listen, I've been in
Yeah.
Evanston
I
20 years
guess-
and I'm still a newcomer, so.
I guess that's a good perspective that I play in Evanston because I'm a member of the American Legion over on Central Street.
Mhm.
And there's a number of different subjects and issues that not always am I up to speed on some of them, but, you know, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, Pulaski and Lawrence, but I went to Lane Tech. And Lane Tech had a diverse amount of different ethnic kids
Yeah.
that were, they had to be recommended by their district supervisor of the school that they went to. And I was kind of surprised that they let me in, but I managed to graduate, and then I went into the military, and I was very coordinated with all the different ethnic groups that I worked with, you know, and you appreciated people for who they were, not the color of their skin, or their age, or their education, you know. But, you know, gaining that perspective is, you know, it opens one's mind, so that they can appreciate the idea that once you get old enough to have kids of your own, that you want them to be as open-minded and comprehensive, so that they understand, you know, how sometimes it's not always it being equal that allows for different students are given the same education as you would think that they would be, but we have to have that availability, you know, open more doors for different students that allow for that need, so that they can gain that perspective, so that they're smart enough to be on their own and you know, make this world a better place.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like, there's just, you know, what you talked about was that you learned how to be in relationship with people from a bunch of different backgrounds and perspectives, right? And there's tons of research out there that says in the business world, teams are stronger and solve problems and do better work when there is a diversity of perspectives, and that usually comes in the diverse identity. So whether that's race or gender or ethnicity or otherwise, when you bring in a diverse team, like, they just do better business-wise. So there's a huge business case for the ways in which Evanston works. But I also think, so it reminds me, one of the programs that we support, we've been supporting since the beginning, and I'm most proud of, it's called the Black Girl Magic Book Club. And in this program, we had 2 Black female educators, Jenna Arsenault and Jennifer Tertullian, who are graduates from District 65, who became teachers and said, when we were in District 65, we read like 3 books with Black girls in them the entire school year. What if we did something different? So they started at one school with 3rd to 5th graders, across gender and across identities. So, you know, white boys are in it, Black girls are in it, South Asian girls, like, all kids are in it. And what these kids did, they read 15 books with Black girl protagonists, And they also do activities so that they can build their own healthy social identities. So they get to talk about like where they're from, where their family's from, what they're proud of, right? At the same time, humanize and elevating Black girls and women. And so I think of a program like that started at one school and now it's at 7 schools. That these educators, they've trained other educators in the district, they've elevated these Black women throughout the district, and kids are so excited to be in this program. They like knock down the doors to get in. They do a showcase at the end of the year. It fills up the ETHS cafeteria with all the work these kids have done together. And so that feels like one of those great strengths of Evanston that came from our educators, from their ideas and their brilliance. And they said, let's captivate the things that we feel are powerful in this town and let's bring them to our kids.
That's interesting that you have to start an organization to help teachers. Isn't that interesting that you have to start an outside organization to?
Well, they're usually
support
reaching in their
children.
own pocket, right? If
Yes.
you talk to an educator, they're like, so I found there was this deal at a Walmart 45 miles away where I could buy notebooks for 20 cents. I've heard of educators saying that to me. So in the beginning, when I came to Foundation 65, 6 years ago, I said, you know those things that you pay for out of your own pocket? Come to me and let me give you money for that. Because I had a teacher during the pandemic. She said, I send books home with kids, and because in my class of students, like 2/3 of them do not speak English the day they walk in my door, but I get them all in grade level by the time they leave the 2nd grade. And she said, but I send these books home, and I can spend like 20 hours trying to get the books back, right? Or I could just be like, let me focus on teaching. And I was like, so you need $500 so that the books don't come back, you're all right with it. As I'm in the pandemic, digging under the beds, looking for the library books that we can't find, and the library, I mean, my family will tell you, the library calls me every week to threaten me for the books we have not returned. So I thought, this teacher, for $500, she didn't have to go in her pocket and replace those books. And she was able to give the kids what they needed that year. That's simple.
And I love that you bring that up because I have a number of friends that went to Purdue with and they teach in Indiana, and hearing the salary disparity between, that they're making $32,000 as a teacher with a $250 to $500 stipend for the entire year, right, to provide all of the school materials, and that's just not even covering
They're
books.
buying pencils.
Yeah, pencils, tissues, paper towels, etc. And again, that they're not making the 40 to 50 to 60 that you may make in Evanston or Chicago if you're starting off as a new teacher.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're helping that process and alleviating that stress where it's like, okay, I still may need to get these materials, but I don't need to spend my own money. Or if I run out of the stipend that the district gives me, that I still have a little bit of cushion via Foundation 65 to get these children what they need. So I appreciate you for doing that work.
Oh, thank you. So I have another teacher who came to me, and actually maybe some of our students today will talk about her, Miss Chang. She's a gifted science educator at SHUE. And she came to us and said, listen, I know that some of our kids need help with like kind of to support their social emotional regulation. They need yoga and journaling and meditation. And I want to work with Black girls at SHUE who are 6th graders as they come in. I want to do this program with them. And we're going to read books, and the adult women in their lives are going to read books. And we're going to create community. And then when they're in 7th grade, they're going to support the school. When they're in 8th grade, they're going to mentor the 6th graders. They're going to do all this. And I was like, so you just need a check. She's like, yeah. I'm like, so you're going to spend time after school every single week running this program for kids because it's the right thing to do. She's like, yeah. No, I've already, it's all in my head. I know how to do it. And like for such little money, for a few $1,000s, we have this brilliant Apple Award finalist teacher who is going to spend her free time with our kids. And so I just find that to be like, it's so little money and it changes these educators' lives.
So it's a true sign of commitment.
Oh my gosh, I mean, there is no one that is more committed than a teacher. For those of us who have desk jobs, you can check your Facebook during the day, you can take a long lunch, you can, like teachers, like they're eating lunch, in the 23 minutes between specials, so they gotta walk their kids to the art room, they got however many minutes, they gotta go pick them back up. They don't have that flexibility in time. So we can say whatever we want around educators. They don't work during the summer, they start at 9. The educators that I know, the great educators, the moment they wake up in the morning, they're thinking about their kids until the minute they go to sleep at night. And you may think they're just lounging in the summer, but I'll be like, what are you gonna do this summer? I need you to rest. And they're like, I have to think about next year because I have this new idea of how we're gonna do math. Because I think if we did it this way with my kids, we could really get them to be excited and inspired. And I'm signed up for a summer project so we can do more work with them. And I'm thinking about this, and then I thought for my classroom, right? Those great educators go above and beyond every day, and this is just our way to thank them and show them that we see them.
That's beautiful that you did this for them. Because I think about like at ISB, all the people that are going up and constantly fighting, trying to get more for teachers, and for whatever reason, they're just disrespected
Yeah.
and devalued. So it's beautiful that you're doing that for them. And what will we
Harder
do?
job than an elementary school teacher, right? There's no harder job than having a group of 25 kids walk into your kindergarten room, and some of them have never sat on a mat, and some of them are reading Harry Potter. And you gotta get all those kids to come together and learn together, right?
With very limited resources out there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and we may think Evanston is a wealthy district and community, and at the same time, it's not. You know, the per pupil cost for the K-8 district is dramatically lower than the high school. You can look into your school finance stuff, and there's 18 buildings, and there's all these things. So like, what's left over to give to a teacher for a project, for an idea, to spearhead those things, especially when I think families are coming in and saying, we have real concerns about like how my child is navigating after COVID, right? There's anxiety, there's depression, there's learning loss, there's all these things. And I would say those are around the world, like every single person in the world was impacted by COVID. And like, how can we as Evanston like wrap ourselves around our kids and get them to the next step?
Mhm. Thank you so much, Alicia, thank you. And you do so much for the community, period, other than just Foundation 65, but what would be the title for it now, like DEI consultant, coach, like I don't even know what to call it anymore.
So I also do facilitation, so you hear me talk a lot about identity. Like what's
Yes.
really interesting to me is to get people to be able to understand each other into dialogues. And
Mhm.
dialoguing is that we're not arguing to win a conversation, we're not having a discussion or a debate, and I'm a recovering attorney, so like I know how to debate you into a corner. But like a dialogue is this idea of like, how do we actually have a shared understanding? We might not agree, but maybe at the end of the day, two people who are very different in their lived experiences can understand one another a little bit more and believe them. And there's no greater experience for me than sitting in a room where light bulbs are going off, like, oh my gosh, I'd never thought of that before. So like, that's just fun and exciting, and I love to see people do it. So yeah, I do coaching, I do facilitation, I do workshops, and I try to empower folks to live their best lives.
And supporting our teachers to help our kids.
Yeah,
You're beautiful, you're an angel. That's
Oh.
angel work right there.
Wow,
That's
you're
angel
very
work.
kind. Very kind.
Absolutely. So what can people do to support you in continuing to get resources for the teachers? What can we do?
So I think like learn more about us and spread the word is the biggest thing, right? So go and you can look at our website, it's just foundation65.org. You can follow us on social media. Here's the reality, you sign up for our newsletter, I'm the one who writes them all, so it's not gonna be like, you know, I donated to something recently and like I started getting 45 emails a day. Like you will get like one every 2 weeks if I'm really on top of it. There are not a million social media posts. So learn about us. We have an event at the end of January. It's really fun. It's at Palm House. It's called My 65. Come. I always feel like we usually cater with Soul and Smoke. We have a DJ. Like it's just a great event. And then of course, like we need support because I want to be able to say yes to every single educator grant that we get. And I don't want to ever have to turn to an educator and say, listen, we don't have enough money to give you what you have. We also do scholarships for educators who are getting endorsements or their masters in reading so we can build classroom capacity. And we're doing an educator leadership program to support educators in kind of their healing and creating their curiosity in this post-COVID period so they can figure out how they can really support their kids.
That is awesome, absolutely. She deserves. And the door is always open. If you ever want to come back and tell us what Foundation 65, we want to help our youth, and we have to help the educators to do that.
Well, maybe I'll bring one of them next time.
Yes.
They'll get to tell the story. They're the most interesting part.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But we have some students coming up.
Yeah, we have some students.
Can't wait to hear from them.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Alicia.
you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you. y'all doing out there?
How we do this?
I'm the only person who's foundation 65. Any of the contacts, they all just me.
Was that enough chance?
Oh, how about to read it? Thank
That
you.
should be 1, 2, 3 for us, and then there's 3 for them.
Okay, that's fantastic.
I have my kids, Eleanor, Phoenix, Ezra.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. Come over here. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
You must have done a good job.
That I know this will ask me, well, we would like you to finish to December. And I said, oh, okay. Sure. Looking at it, getting a jumble in things, but one of our other episodes, we did a post.
This camera.
We had 150 people. And I took
When you all are done, you're gonna be entering from that side right over there. And just let us know if you have any questions.
yeah, no, I mean, it's a little bit more established. But it's, we've always, not necessarily, but we agree that but yeah, so it's. Oh. Wait till kind of wait till a little bit later.
Okay,
Women trustees.
Eleanor, Phoenix, Ezra.
Stay
So,
tuned.
Eleanor, I'll have you here. Phoenix, I'll have you sit in the middle there, and then Ezra. You wait for Sebastian. Mhm.
Starting right from here.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Don, you able to get us all in there? Do I-
I can lean in.
Yeah, I think we're already as snug as we can get up here.
All right, so Sebastian, you can take us into this.
Perfect. I'll let Don get set. Looks good on our end, person.
Good.
Yep. All right, and we are back. Thank you all again for being a part of our show so far. It's been fantastic. We've had some great guests.
Oh, you know what, Cut? We're not gonna do the kids live, cause, yeah.
That's, okay.
you guys will be recorded for edited, so I don't want you guys. Then I may reject it.
Sorry.
So if you feel like you mess up,
Right.
it's all
Right.
right.
All right. See, we already had one blooper. All right.